So these are signs of fascist tendencies. Radical nationalism promotes the idea that the nation or ethnic group is superior to others. Scapegoating blames societal problems on minorities, immigrants, or other quote-unquote enemies. Anti-democratic behavior shows disdain for democratic norms, processes, and pluralism. Glorification of violence endorses violence or aggression as necessary to achieve ideological goals. Authoritarian rule advocates for a strong leader who suppresses dissent and consolidates power. Economic corporatism promotes collaboration between the government and business elites while opposing worker rights and unions. Moral purity enforces traditional values or a rigid cultural ideology as a measure of societal order. So if we want to assess whether someone has dictatorial tendencies, we want to look for pattern of actions. Do they habitually seek to bypass checks and balances? Do they manipulate systems to retain power? Language and rhetoric. Do they demean institutions, advocate for indefinite rule, or attack democratic processes? Opposition treatment. How do they respond to criticism or protest? Are dissenters punished or marginalized? Constitutional amendments. Are they trying to weaken or rewrite constitutional safeguards to enhance their authority? Assessing fascist tendencies. Public statements. Are their speeches loaded with nationalism, xenophobia, or hate-filled rhetoric? Policy goals. Are they advocating for policies that suppress certain groups or limit freedoms in the name of cultural or national superiority? Social dynamics. Do they foster division or promote unity under their terms? Historical echoes. Do their tactics or ideas resemble those of historical fascist regimes? I watched a video recently on trigonometry, and they were doing an interview with Cenk from the Young Turks, and they were questioning him on his fascist rhetoric in terms of applying it to Donald Trump, calling Donald Trump a fascist and things like that. And for some reason, Cenk, who has no problem normally being very aggressive in his views, has openly and aggressively called Trump a fascist. He will yell and scream. You've seen him on Piers Morgan Unfiltered, and he goes after these people, and he does not shy away from calling Trump a fascist, a dictator, and things like that. But for some reason on the trigonometry show, they had to keep pushing him, and he kept dancing around and talking about how Donald Trump was corrupt, as opposed to talking about him being a fascist. And then they finally pushed him, and he brought up something I think that is kind of fascist, but it wasn't really that severe, which is bizarre. If he really believes that the rhetoric he's putting out there, this is serious business. So given the opportunity to spread the message and let people know how dangerous Donald Trump is, why wouldn't he take it? Why wouldn't he go straight in for the jugular and say what he thinks? He's calling Trump a fascist. That's got to be based on something. So why was he hesitant to share this? Well, I'm not Cenk. I'm not here trying to be famous or trying to make money. I'm not here trying to do a business. I don't make any money doing this. So I can be completely honest and raw with you guys and stand on my principles and say what I truly believe, that Donald Trump is headed on a definitive path towards being a dictator or fascist or a combination of the two. That's not just me throwing around words, the way some folks on the left like to call everything racist, right? The way that, folks on the right like to call everything woke. When I use these words, I'm using them appropriate to the meanings of the words which we just discussed. Whether he's an actual fascist or dictator, perhaps you can say that's subject to debate. But what's not subject to debate is he's certainly behaving as if he is or is about to become a dictator or fascist. That is without a doubt. If you look at the definition, you look at what Trump is doing, he is definitely heading in that direction. And we have to understand context, historical context. Dictators and fascists don't normally just pop out of the blue, right? They start within the framework of whatever government that they exist within, and they break things to the point where they get to the point of ultimate power, right? So for example, look at how Donald Trump has for a time been training the Republican Party that you do exactly what I say, right? You do not challenge me, right? I'm the one, I'm going to fix everything, and you better shut your mouth. Even though you guys were also voted for, right? You have people that voted for you. That doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is me. I'm the one that's running the show. I'm the one that makes all the decisions. And what you think is irrelevant. So people who have challenged him, he's destroyed. He's went after them, got them out of office. This is a consolidation of power. Now it's at a point where Donald Trump can appoint a potential child sex trafficker and all kind of loony bins. And the Republicans are saying that they're basically going to go along with whatever he says. And he's already set that tone, right? And with what he's doing right now, especially putting Matt Gaetz as Attorney General, now he's even consolidating power even more, because it's now becoming very dangerous to go after Trump. It's not just a matter of him ending your career. Who knows what he could do to you when he has these sycophants at high levels of power in the government, in terms of them going after you ending up in prison. That's the type of thing that dictators and fascists do, right? They would jail their opponents. Now, a moron online who's being dishonest would say, well, he hasn't jailed anyone. Well, he hasn't gotten to the point yet where he could just do that and get away with it, but he is definitely getting to that point very quickly. right? Because right now, think about it. You have an entire Republican Party that serves this one guy, right? And some of you may be thinking that's the way it normally is. He's the president, but that's not the way our government works. That's not the way the founding fathers did it. And again, that's the distinction between a dictator and fascist versus, how things are run in this country, right? It's supposed to be a cooperative effort, right? You have the president and then you have the party that is behind that president, and together they lead together, right? So the president can push for things, but also Congress is supposed to be able to push back against him. But Trump is pushing things to where there's no pushback from Congress, and any sort of, checks and balances within our government, fire them, get rid of them, right? This is consolidating of power. And he's talked about before, shutting down news organizations that talked bad about him, going after comedians who talk bad about him. This is fascist and, sort of dictatorial behavior. He's already done this. And previously, he was really challenged to do these types of things. He tried to do them, but there's a lot of pushback. Now he's creating a government where he can actually do the crazy things that he wanted to do in his first administration, right? This is exactly what people in the past, people like Hitler and others, this is how you do it, right? You break the system, right? You take away the checks and balances. You get to this point of where, everyone, my party must serve me. I am the only thing that matters. It's all about me, right? The cult of personality stuff is mentioned in there as well. So what does this actually mean? What's the severity of this, right? Again, Cenk struggled for some reason. The risk is this guy trying to stay in office for a third term, or who knows, much longer. Other countries that have had leaders that stay in power seemingly forever, they took a similar path to the path that Trump is taking right now, right? The other thing is, look at what he's already done with regarding abortion, right? For decades, women had certain rights, and those rights were taken away by Donald Trump. He put these people in office who are so ideologically aligned, which is what fascists and dictators do, right? That they lied when they were trying to get into their roles, right? And then when they got the thing, then they flipped on it, right? He's going to put even more of those people in our courts. He's going to infest our courts, from the Supreme Court all the way down, right? So if Trump is a dictator or a fascist, right, he needs to break down all these checks and balances, the courts, right? Certain positions, positions in government where there's like accountability, right? Shut those down. Again, put loyalists in high positions of power. So he is setting things up in a way where, let's just say if he was looking to be a fascist or a dictator, he's making really good moves in that direction, right? And if you don't recognize that, either you're clueless or you're not paying attention or you're completely dishonest, right? Why Cenk struggled when this is what he does for a living. He's a political commentator and he's been so aggressive about it. Why he struggled to say even a fraction of what I just did, just very calmly and easily. This wasn't some big, I have to stretch things. I'm just laying it out. Look at what he's doing, right? All the stuff that he's doing, these are dictatorial and fascist types of things. It's very easy to point that out. I don't know what Cenk's issue is, but I don't have that issue, clearly, right? Will he actually become an official dictator or fascist? I think more so dictator, because I think he technically would be a fascist already, but a dictator, he has to rule as a dictator, right? He has to change the laws and such in a way that a dictator would. But I think being a fascist, I think he qualifies already. What are your thoughts? Comment below. This is the Debate Me channel. Debate me in the comment section below. Click on the like button, subscribe, smash that bell. Be well.